Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to my channel. My name is Paul, the Canadian Snowman, back once again with another awesome history video. Today we're doing why did so many Muslims fight for Germany in World War II? I've done a lot of World War II videos. I think this was mentioned in one of the videos. I don't remember if it maybe it was mentioned briefly. I just don't remember, and I kind of want like a more, I guess, more insight on it because when I think of World War II, like Muslims never comes to mind, and really, I didn't know they fought until and basically until this channel. Well, basically until this year on this channel. When I started doing kind of history videos, and then I was like, huh, like that's interesting. So yeah, that is definitely like something very new to me. I didn't really realize that. So yeah, we're gonna kind of check this out, and maybe some guys, any of you in the comments any of you guys in the comments. Any of you who didn't know this, it'd be kind of cool to see if anyone was on the same page as me. Like, did anyone watching this not realize this either? Like, it like didn't cross my mind, but I guess it'll make sense after this video. At least I hope so. But anyways, guys, please hit that like and subscribe button below. It helps out a lot. Gets the video more up in the algorithm. You get more people watching. You get more fun conversations in the comments and stuff like that. It's always fun. But anyways, guys, yeah, like and subscribe, and let's get to it. Bam.
When people think of World War II, Islam is not generally on the list of things that come to mind.
Yeah.
Nonetheless, Muslims actually played a particularly important role in the war and became a significant focus of Germany. In the words of the German Chancellor himself, the people of Islam will always be closer to us than, for example, France.
Because I find that very odd, because you think of like Germany, Nazi Germany, like they were. It was kind of like their way or the highway, and they like hated like all outsiders, kind of thing. And so, like, it just doesn't seem to make sense because, it seems like the Muslims it's like a big, even like farther stretch than like their neighbors, kind of thing. I don't know.
To understand the Chancellor's position on Islam requires some backgrounds pertaining to his general religious views and thereby those of Germany as a World War II power.
Okay.
Because you are our subscriber, you should definitely check out our sponsor over at Squarespace. This incredible website builder includes so many features like easy link to all social media platforms, support for podcasts, integrated analytics, to a milder degree, of course. The leader of the Third Reich held a
What are these 5-digit numbers we use to text our customers?
That's a short code.
Do customers see them?
strong disdain for Christianity as well, especially the Catholic Church, viewing both religions as weak, absurd, and unrealistic. Even though Germany was a Christian nation and Christianity was a part of the European culture, a hatred towards the corruption of the Catholic Church existed. As Germany moved to expand rapidly, it inevitably found itself facing the Balkans.
Well, it's actually, this is kind of interesting because I actually almost clicked on a video that said, why is Germany like not Catholic or something? It was something along the, not Christian or something along those lines. And I guess this is going to make sense pretty much in this video if they, apparently they were against Christianity, I guess.
Germany moved to expand rapidly. It inevitably found itself facing the Balkans and moving closer to the Middle East. This subsequently brought the Axis power into direct engagement with the Muslim world.
Okay, I got you. Since, thank God, through how much history. I mean, Christianity has been trying to push and their influence everywhere, like Jerusalem, and trying to push, all the Crusades is basically what the Crusades obviously was. And pushing their religion, and trying to spread the word, And so I guess, that was kind of their way of getting the Muslims on their side. I guess, hey, if you fight with us, you don't have to worry about Christianity kind of, being pushed upon your people or something. I don't know. I could be way wrong, but it seems like that's where it's going, right? Trying to predict stuff here.
Consequently, brought the Axis power into direct engagement with the Muslim world, promptly making the German Chancellor's religious opinions exceedingly significant. There were two obvious options for Germany: risk the Muslim nations becoming added opposition, or make them into allies. Choosing the latter, the German leaders began to court the people of Islam through propaganda and advantageous policies, utilizing an assortment of strategies to politicize the Muslims' faith in hopes of winning over their support. German propagandists went as far as exploiting the concept of jihad and the sacred texts of the Quran. One pamphlet dropped over North Africa by the Germans described the tale of an evil king, King Dajjal, from Islamic tradition. This king is said to have led 70,000 Jews from Isfahan and into battle in the world's final days against Isa, the Muslim prophet associated with Jesus. Although in this case, the prophet was said to be the German Chancellor himself. A plethora of...
Man, I really need to do a video, though, on just... I don't know, like the main religions. Like, I love, because I really don't know, and honestly, really nothing at all about like the Muslim faith and all that kind of stuff. And so I definitely eventually got to do a video on that just so I can get more of an understanding, because I do a lot of videos and I think it would definitely help, you know? Anyways. I wonder if there is a good video out there for that, though.
The prophet was said to be the German Chancellor himself. A plethora of pamphlets like this were created by the Germans in their determined attempts to recruit as many followers of Islam as they could. In addition to these propaganda-style strategies, Germany also enacted a new set of policies relating to the treatment of Muslims within its military. By 1941, the German Army, Navy, and Air Force began to distribute a handbook simply titled Islam to its troops, in order to clearly instruct them on how they should behave towards all Muslims. Furthermore, Muslims in the Wehrmacht were also granted religious freedoms, most remarkably doing away with the previously imposed ban on ritual slaughter, which had been created as a byproduct of anti-Semitism in 1933. Reaching even further on the Eastern Front, the Germans ordered the reconstruction of a collection of mosques, madrasas, and prayer halls that had been destroyed by the Soviet Union prior to German occupation. This move served as both a deed of defiance towards the Soviets and a hopeful act of friendship towards the Muslims. Another potential sign of unity that the Germans likely noted came in the form of shared enemies. As stated by Jerusalem's Grand Mufti, Haj Amin el-Husseini, the Germans and Arabs were, in fact, unintentionally on the same side, considering their mutual oppositions to other ethnicities and forms of government. The Arab Muslims were more focused on their disapproval of the British and French colonizers, and the Jews in Palestine specifically. Nonetheless, the Grand Mufti considered the Arabs to be natural friends of Germany, truly believing in their ability to win the war and benefit his own nation.
Okay, that makes complete sense now. Like, you know, if everybody wasn't thinking about, you know, France and Britain, obviously, they got, you know, their empires, got, you know, colonies, you know, and like, you know, like Muslim territory, or how you want to call it. And yeah, like if they go against, you know, the British and French, they can push them out of their, you know, their countries or their lands or whatnot, like their influence, you know. So, which is obviously Christianity, you know, that's kind of more, you know, their faith, right? So, no, definitely that definitely makes sense. And so they kind of have same kind of enemies. And I guess like the propaganda and the Germany sucking up to them by making the mosques and stuff like that. And yeah, just kind of, yeah, it makes sense. Like I didn't really think about it that way. So it's kind of, yeah.
Fully believing in their ability to win the war and benefit his own nation. It is important to remember, though, that Germany's views at the time of racial purity and superiority were in direct contradiction of its decision to recruit and befriend the Arab and Muslim.
Yeah, that's the part that confused me. Like the purity, you know, it was just like the German, like, you know, their mindset of like whatever you just said there. and like then you bring, like I said before, you bring the the Muslims, which doesn't it totally different. And but like they need the numbers, they didn't need another country against them. That there would have been too much for them to kind of handle. But it was definitely curious with like the pamphlets and stuff, and how the German soldiers, you know, I guess they were all right, and treated them like just like they treat each other. I guess maybe there's more to it that doesn't get much get talked about. As far as I don't know if there was bad blood between them, and Muslim soldiers maybe got treated badly. Maybe it's just not well known. I don't know. Maybe people can let me know. Uh, because I don't know. I think it seems like like Hitler, like if they're part of the German army and the like the generals and captains or whatnot, because you think they, I don't know, put the Muslims on the front lines and kind of sacrifice them, to kind of save their own soldiers. Like I wonder if that was kind of a thing, if you know what I'm saying. Anyways.
Were in direct contradiction of its decision to recruit and befriend the Arab and Muslim worlds. Interestingly, instead of addressing the inconsistency, Germany chose to heighten it by declaring certain groups such as the Turks, the Muslims of Bosnia, and the Grand Mufti himself to be honorary Aryans. Considering the fact that not all Muslims and Arabs would fall for the Germans' propaganda, contradiction, and violently anti-Semitic beliefs, the question still remains as to what drove such confident recruitment of Islam's followers. The answer to this one may be found a couple of decades prior. At the start of World War I, Germany became extremely interested in Islam.
With Squarespace, editing and adding pieces on my
Seeing the Muslims as the key to victory against the Triple Entente, the Germans attempted to spark Muslim revolts against the French and British colonial powers. One German diplomat, Max von Oppenheim, even described Islam as one of their most important weapons, following up this claim by asserting that Britain, France, and the Russians were the oppressors of Islam. Unfortunately for Germany, they never accounted for the brewing Arab uprising against the Ottoman Empire, which allowed France and Britain the opportunity to swoop in and appease the revolting Muslims and eventually split the previously Turkish-controlled Syria, Lebanon, Palestine, and Iraq between themselves, as well as awarding Russia with Armenia at the Sykes-Picot Agreement of May 1916.
Wow.
Ultimately, the Germans utterly failed to rally Muslim support in the First World War, but their attempt to do so again with the hope for more success comes as less of a surprise, despite the contemporary racial beliefs by the time of World War II. Jumping back ahead to the Second World War, Himmler stated that he had no issue with Islam because of its promises when it came to martyrdom, and he believes that it was a very practical religion for soldiers. Given that the Chancellor himself also respected the Muslims' faith for similar reasons, it is safe to assume that there was strongly pragmatic reasons behind everything the Germans did in their plea for Muslim support. Of course, having additional allies served as the obvious purpose, and it is incredibly likely that there was also an aim to use as many foreign soldiers as possible to avoid more German casualties. Moreover, Germany could not afford to deal with the unrest caused by an added enemy or the territories they sought to occupy. By enticing the Muslim world into either aligning with or at least not opposing them, the Germans would have a better chance at smooth expansion and pursuit of the larger war at hand. By the end, tens of thousands of Muslims had been recruited by the German army, and those who joined fought on all fronts. One setback came during the German invasion of Russia, though, when thousands of Muslims were executed. Some Muslims even chose to simply side with the Allies instead, with roughly 230,000 coming from North Africa alone joining the Free French. Even more fought for Britain. About 9,000 Palestinian Muslims, at least 500,000 Indian Muslims, and additional Muslim groups from regions reaching all the way to South Asia were unfazed by the Axis propaganda and instead picked the Allies. An underwhelming number fought for the Germans in comparison, but they were still able to form the 13th Waffen Mountain Division. It was made up of predominantly Bosnian.
So basically more Muslims fought for the Allies. That it's just that still like a big number fought the Axis powers. Okay, so it wasn't just Germany they fought for. Interesting. Dun, dun, dun.
From the 13th Waffen Mountain Division was made up of predominantly.
But pretty much, yeah, the ones fighting for like Britain and France, the Allies, they were kind of from all over. Germany kind of got theirs more, from I guess just from that just a certain area over there. Can't think of what the area is called, but sorry, like North Africa and the Middle East kind of area, right?
Predominantly Bosnian Muslims who were charged with the duty of restoring order to Yugoslavia, although they faced their own mutiny before the soldiers' training process had even ended. While the Germans were able to squash this rebellion and salvage the division, it still serves as another hint at Germany's failure to once again utilize Islam as a powerful force against their enemies during wartime. Despite the fact that the German goals to recruit mass amounts of Muslim troops more or less paled in comparison to the numbers of those who decided to fight for the Allies, it was only a partial failure, as they did manage to enlist some, especially because a large part of the Muslim world was under the colonial powers of France and Great Britain. The role of France and Britain as colonial powers likely helped drastically to undermine Germany's propaganda and recruitment techniques, given the fact that the Allies had a much more authoritative presence in the region.
That's true, because Germany might have a lot of propaganda, but the French and the British, they have their colonies there and whatnot, and obviously they have French and they have French people and British people there. So whatever propaganda Germany would throw in those areas, like the British or whatever, just like, look, that's not true. Obviously, that's not true. We're here, and so yeah, basically that propaganda is not going to work in those areas. So, okay, so yeah, basically, there's a lot more people fought for the Allies than the Germans, but it was a success for the Germans. The fact that they did get a good portion themselves. Okay. All right. Cool.
Techniques, given the fact that the Allies had a much more authoritative presence in the region. Nonetheless, the Muslim world played an integral role in the events of the Second World War from both a political and military standpoint, and on both sides of the conflict. Again, a huge thank to our sponsor, Squarespace. Don't forget to...
That was a good video. Definitely very informative, and I definitely look at it differently now. And I can see both sides of the ball, because a lot of Muslims might like that the French are occupying their area. It might have brought a lot of infrastructure or a lot of benefits with them being there. Maybe some more order. I don't know. And then I can see a lot of them be like, no, this is our land and we want to do things our way. We want you to leave, and fighting for the Axis powers. So there's different ways you can look at it, and you can't really blame them either way, So there you have it, because they have their own ideas and what they want for their religion or countries or whatnot. So definitely cool, definitely very informative. Hope I didn't rub anyone the wrong way during this, because kind of in these kind of videos. So hope you to like and subscribe, guys. Let me know your thoughts below, like you guys always do. Always interesting to see other people's point of views in the comments. So yeah, there's that. And yeah, like, subscribe, all that good stuff. Hope you guys have a great day, great night, and catch you guys in future videos. Peace. Woohoo!